Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Ask Alice Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, your host, Alice Badler, answers everyday questions with her unpredictable, interactive, spontaneous, and engaging style. You can easily ask your questions, share your thoughts, and join the conversation by calling into the show at Blog Talk Radio. Alice is waiting for you. From the smallest things to the deeply profound, the Ask Alice Show is the place to ask your questions and get real answers. Here's your host, Alice Badler.
Well, hello, everyone. It's always such a joy to have you all here with me. Tonight, we are talking about self-care. And we have a wonderful guest who's an expert in this field joining us a little bit later on in the show. So I think that'll be pretty cool. And, this is a great topic any time of year. But during the holidays, it sort of feels to me like some people get a little more stressed out. So I thought this was a very appropriate time to have this discussion. And I certainly hope all of you will join me in this conversation. So on that note, callers, please press 1 on your phone to get into the queue if you'd like to talk to me. And my chatters, I see the chat room is full. We love your questions and comments. So everybody, don't be shy. And I just want to remind those of you listening in via the computer, I understand every once in a while there's a buffering problem or a glitch. Just hit your refresh and you should be okay. So now, what about self-care? Well, when you fly on an airplane, before takeoff, the flight attendant will go over all of the things you do in case of an emergency. And one of the things they tell you is that if the cabin loses oxygen, a mask will fall in front of you. And in all circumstances, you are to put your oxygen mask on first, putting one on anyone else. And that includes young children, the elderly, even babies. And there's a good reason for that. It's because if you cannot breathe, you are useless to others. And you know what? It's not any different in everyday life. If you are tired, if you are cranky, if you are depressed, anxious, or unhappy in any way, doesn't that feel like you can't breathe? Well, if you can't breathe, you are no good to anybody else. And I think that bears repeating. If you can't breathe, you are no good to anyone else. In fact, your actions may unintentionally harm the people that you love. And look, I get it. People are so busy. It seems like from the moment they wake up until they turn out those lights with all sorts of responsibilities between work, errands, children, tasks surrounding friends and family, taking care of our homes, and on and on and on and on. And many of these things, they're not even rewarding or enjoyable. So what about us? What about taking care of our needs? Self-care is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is imperative that we all find time each and every day to do something for ourselves to bring calm into our lives and to make us feel good. And it doesn't have to be anything grand, just something you love and gives you sort of that lift. You all know what I'm talking about. Personally, I love to take a walk with, great sort of dance music playing on my iPhone. My neighbors think I'm a little nutty because I sort of like walk dance myself down the street. But wow, it brings me so much joy, and it gives me that lift that I need to get through my day. And there's so many things. There's sitting outside with your lunch on a beautiful day, reading a book, playing video games, watching your favorite show, taking a bubble bath or a nap, one of my all-time favorites, spending time on a hobby, puzzles, baking, the list goes on. You all know what you love. But you know what? We all have things that we enjoy that are just for us, things that are ours alone. Those things that put life back into us. And so many people say to me, I don't have time. Well, I have a feeling you make time to feed your children and get your work done. Taking care of you should be on top of that priority list. And just a little add-on for you couples, what I like to call mutual care is equally as important. Don't forget about each other in the midst of your crazy, busy, everyday lives. Little touches, cuddles, holding hands through the day, and a date night once a week are so key to keeping that light flickering. Self-care, act as if your life depends on it, because you know what? It really does. And that's what's on my mind tonight. So now it's your turn. Feel free to ask a question or make a comment about anything. As usual, we really, really want to hear what you have to say. And now, I am going to turn it over to the ever fabulous Laura Lane. Good evening, Laura.
Hi, Alice.
How you doing tonight, sweetie?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I love that.
I want to say hi to everybody.
Yes, say hi to everybody. Give them your little what to do speech.
Yeah, I just want to tell the new listeners if they would like notifications of upcoming shows, there's a follow button on the Ask Alice Show homepage right here on Blog Talk Radio. And for those of you who have Skype and would like to talk to Alice, there's a button located above the chat room just below the show's title. Just click on the Skype button, press 1, and you're in the queue.
Oh, that sounds absolutely wonderful. So, do we want to take a call, or should I put you on the spot and ask you a question? Because I do enjoy doing that to you.
Yeah, you do. I know. But we do have a caller from Minnesota.
From Minnesota.
We have Michelle. Yeah, we have Michelle.
All right. Hi, Michelle.
Well, hello.
Hello, Michelle. I love when you call in.
I know.
I know you know.
Laura surprised me when she asked where I was from. I think I answered Minnesota. I think I answered in a very stereotypical Fargo movie-ish tone.
Well, what's one of the things that I think is sort of fun about this whole being on the radio thing is because there's callers from all over the country, actually internationally. I keep thinking everyone has an accent, and then they tell me I have the accent. But it's so great to hear different voices, isn't it?
It really is. It makes it just more tangible and more fun to be able to put a voice to the discussion.
Yeah. So I am ever curious to hear what you have to say to us.
Yes. Well, this is one of my favorite topics.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I'm always trying to keep top of mind for myself, and I will fully admit I am terrible at most of the time, even though I know how important it is. And I just wanted to share a big win that I had over the long Thanksgiving weekend, because it really just reminded me of how critical self-care is to my own well-being. And so I had 5 days off over the holiday weekend. I took a couple of days off work, so that left me Wednesday to do all the preparations for hosting, had the big family gathering on Thursday, spent all day on Saturday with my friend and with my daughter shopping. And by the time Friday night rolled around, I was a wreck. It was too much people, too much activity. My kids were asking me if I was going to go give myself a timeout. It was that bad.
Yeah.
And so on Saturday, I didn't get out of bed until 1. I napped. I just honored my body which was telling me I need sleep and I need to not be around people and I need to just have that time for myself. And I did that. And then I went to the library and got a big stack of books, and I spent most of the rest of the weekend reading and napping. And I felt so refreshed, peaceful, calm, like I could do anything. And it really hit home for me how much I need to make that a bigger priority in my life.
Yeah, I actually really like that, because everybody listening is seeing the power in taking care of yourself. And obviously in your case, because you probably haven't been taking care of yourself for months, the self-care thing, that you needed an entire weekend. And by the way, big deal. So you need what you need. But the power in that, look how much better you feel and how much more refreshed you are. And those are some great ideas. Napping is such a great one, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how much I slept. I thought for sure I was going to get to, an evening when normal bedtime and just be completely wide awake. And it didn't happen. I knew then that I was just so deprived of, just really deep rest, that's exactly what I needed.
And, what you said, first of all, I think probably lack of sleep is big on a lot of people's list. And the difference in our attitude, it's you don't get enough sleep. How can you not be cranky, right?
Right.
Like,
well, it's really the difference, I think, between surviving and thriving. I've always said, I can get by on, however many hours of sleep a night. That's fine. Like, I can keep going. But that's the survival aspect of it.
mm-hmm.
Where's the thriving, right? The thriving is something more than, what was normal for me, which doesn't matter what my normal is because it's different for everybody. But there's a definite difference between surviving and sleep and thriving.
Oh, God, there's such a difference. And, people are. I have a lot of people tell me they get so little sleep. Well, I can get by on that little sleep. And then, when they get all snarky with me, I'm thinking, no, maybe not.
maybe not.
Maybe you think you can get by on that much sleep, but not so nice to be on the other end of that little snarkiness.
Yes, I think we delude ourselves on how much sleep we really need.
Yeah, well, there's been studies done on that, everybody's need for sleep is different. There are people that really, shockingly, only need 3 or 4 hours of sleep. I just don't know how they do it. That would be like awesome. But, whatever your need is, whether it's 6 hours, 7 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is, that people that do not get enough sleep, it's actually like not breathing. Like really.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually like not getting enough oxygen. It's that serious. And yes, we see that. I mean, we all have friends that are not getting enough sleep, and you could sense the anxiety that they're having to work on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I am so proud of you. I love wins. And
Thank you.
This is, I think, a topic that's near and dear to a lot of our hearts. And, it's great. I really appreciate your sharing that win with us. That's so fun because we're going to get a lot of people, I hope, calling in with questions on how do I do that? And you just sort of, gave us some great examples.
Well, thank you. I just thought it was important to share, that it's really hard to do, and even as much as I value it and know how important it is, still a real challenge to really give myself permission to do that.
I know. It's just crazy that it's because we think it's a luxury. We don't realize what a necessity it is. And
right.
I hope that, my words earlier, people really take to heart. It isn't a luxury, not even a little bit, And
no,
you, again, are a perfect example of that. How much better are you, treating the people around you? How much more relaxed are you? And I don't mean treating them, but how much more relaxed do you feel about something that maybe would have gotten on your nerves a week ago, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought how you talked about it was perfect because it really is like not breathing. You're not able to breathe if you're not taking care of yourself.
It does feel that way. That's why I loved the that whole airplane thing. It's really, it's really true. And actually, it's so funny how these things come to me. It came to me when I was on an airplane. All these things, I'm listening to her give the thing, and I said, wow. And maybe I was anxious that day. I said, wow, God, I feel like that when I don't feel good or when I'm anxious or rushing. Here we go. So that's great, Michelle. As usual, I love when you call in. You always have something so positive to add. So,
oh, you're so sweet.
Well, it's so true. So don't leave us alone. Bother us.
Well, I am anxious to hear your speaker tonight. So
yes,
great for your guest.
Yes, I'm she's very good at giving tools and tricks for self-care. So that's going to be really special. All right, sweetie. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
You bet. Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Laura?
Yes.
Okay, I can ask you a question if you want, or you're kind of, as the producer, you get to be in charge. I'm dying to ask you a question.
You're dying to ask my question.
I'm dying to find out what your question is. I'm dying to ask you a question to find out what you say. But if there's anything that you think is more pressing, I'll leave it to you.
Well,
who's in charge here anyway?
I think you were. But we have a couple comments from the chat room. Eli has mentioned he suffers from sleep apnea, so sometimes he wakes up more tired than when he went to sleep. I guess it was a comment on you guys taking the naps and stuff like that.
Well, that's that's like sort of a whole nother ball game we're talking about. In fact, so many, I don't want to tell Eli what to do, but get the mask, Eli. Get the mask. A lot of people have sleep apnea, and that's something they have to take care of. So I don't sort of see that in sometimes this this particular arena of self-care, because there's nothing you can do about sleep apnea, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, there is something you can do. You can wear the mask, Eli. So bad. Put on the mask. He probably maybe he does. All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you something, Laura, that's preying on my mind. I'm just wondering, do you in particularly have like anything that you think challenges you in this area of self-care? Do you have any challenges with self-care, I guess, is the question? Taking care of yourself?
Mine is saying no, particularly to family. That's probably my biggest thing. I find recently, because I work from home, they will ask me to do stuff because I'm not at home. I have my own schedule. I can do whatever I want whenever they want me to do it, and I'm like, no, I have my own schedule as well. And it's hard for me to say that to them because they're asking me, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me?
Well, I am just sitting here thinking that probably most of our listeners are shaking their head, yes, 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 yes. That is probably, right. That's probably, I think, one of the biggest, I think there's two really big challenges with self-care. I think one is that people think they can't find the time, and that people don't say no. So let me just really quickly go through my thoughts about not saying no to people. I think part of that is, this is a people-pleasing thing, but I think part of that is because we think that, and I'm quoting the air as I say this, good people, quoting the air, good people say yes whenever anybody asks something of them, and we all want to be good, right? Is that why you do it, Laura? Because you want to be the good little girl? Exactly.
I want to be the good little girl.
You want to be the good little girl. So you know what? No. We don't have to say yes and we don't have to feel bad about it. Okay, to say no. I'm giving everyone permission out there. You can say no. It's not only is it okay, it's actually a very necessary tool in life to learn how to say no. And something I learned a very long time ago is, and I think this is one of the reasons people don't say no more often. What I learned a long time ago is that when I say no to someone, I do it in such a way that there's no comeback from them, if you know what I mean. You don't want to engage in a long conversation with someone. So if, your aunt calls you and it says, yeah, I need you to come and dust off my dresser for me because my hand hurts today. And you say, oh, well, it's really cold out. I don't feel like walking the 6 block. If you give her some long explanation, you're going to engage her in a conversation. So what we have to do when we say no is just simply say, I can't. Done. What can someone say to that? No, I can't. And it really is that simple. But another point I'd like to make here in that same regard is that we train people how to treat us. So if we've been saying yes all along, which I think probably the majority of people walking around say yes when they don't want to, what we've done is train people to ask us. So now we're trying to retrain people. We're going to say no. And what's really important when you say no is to be really consistent. So the minute no comes out of your mouth, you can never change your mind. Because if you allow someone to talk you out of no, you have just trained them that they can talk you out of no. And guess what? They're going to engage you in the ridiculous conversation. So what's going to happen is there's going to be some pushback. There's going to be some discomfort. But if you say no and you stick with no, every time they ask you, you have now trained that person, these people, that whenever you say no, no means no, and they'll leave you alone. How's that? Like that?
Yeah.
Can you do it?
Well,
yes.
It's funny. I can with outside people, but not with family. I guess you're always afraid of the family confrontation, that it's going to cause a rift in the family or something like that because they'll start a fight or.
But it doesn't have to. I mean, for sure, the other person is not going to be happy. There's no doubt about it. But you don't have to engage with them. One of my favorite lines, and I don't know if I've ever said it on the show before, is that we have zero control over the thoughts and actions of others. None. But we do have control over our own thoughts and actions. So if you say no to someone and they push back, you just disengage. So if you're on the phone with somebody and they start getting confrontational with you, maybe your cell phone died or you got another phone call or someone at the door, just never engage in that and continue to say no. And that's theirs to work out. We just have to take care of our own stuff. And as long as we're integrity and our intentions are pure, we have to retrain people. So you just have to get brave. And I think all the people shaking their head, oh my God, how am I going to do that? You can do that. And I think that our guest, Samantha, who's just brilliant at setting boundaries, is going to help us with that. So before we bring her on, is there any quick comments or questions from the chat room?
Yeah, Eli is saying that he works from home, so all my time is potentially work time. It's a real effort for me to take time for myself, but I do it more now than I did when I was in my 20s.
Well, that's great. I think that as we get older, we just realize, a lot of things. And, I work from home. You work from home. I think a lot of us understand that when we work from home, we're not working on a 9 to 5 schedule. So, it's really, really important. But I'm glad to hear that Eli has gotten better at that. So, so is our guest here? Is Samantha here?
I believe she is.
Well, why don't you bring her in and introduce her so we can get her beautiful feedback.
Okay. Samantha is a life fulfillment coach. Using holistic approach, she helps people learn how to fly. First, love yourself, so they can soar in health, love, business, and life. She is a teacher and a speaker who helps people to master their inner critic, sidestep self-doubt, and ditch overwhelm to create the lives they crave. She's the creator of the first Love Yourself Sisterhood, an online platform where women have conversations that matter about life, love, career, and relationship. Her work is life-changing, and we are so thrilled to have her here on the Ask Alice show.
Yes, we are. Hello, Samantha.
Hello, I'm so pumped to be here, and I'm loving the conversation you guys are having.
Yeah, we have a pretty great audience, Samantha, and real quick, I don't want to gush all over you, but I really want to gush all over you. I love your work so much. We met on social media, and I like to follow people to see who I think is marvelous, so I can have guests on the show. And one of the things that I really, really, truly love about you is that you are so caring, so loving in your effort to want to help people in learning to love themselves and self-care and setting boundaries. And you're so amazingly proactive. You're all over the place. You've got the energy of 250 horses. And so I'm really, really thrilled that you're here to talk to my audience. I'm sure we're going to have some questions come up. I have some questions, but and then at the end, I think everyone's going to want to know how to find you. But didn't you just recently do some speaking engagement that was videotaped? I saw something.
Yeah, well, just before we go into that, I just want to say I'm going to gush right back because you're so amazing, and I think that we met because we're so in tune and aligned with what we really want to share with the world. So I'm really, really glad we met, and really thankful for you letting me come on your show. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, thank you so much, Samantha. I think those of us that truly, want to give to the world, pay it forward. I don't know what the proper term is. It's our passion. So great when we find each other, isn't it?
100%.
It is. And we learn from each other. I've learned a lot from you. So thank you for that, though. I feel honored. Thank you. I appreciate that a great deal.
For sure, yeah. So sorry, to your first question. So in June, I went to BC. So I'm from Canada, and I went across the country to do a program with another entrepreneur and a group of women called Center Stage Live. And so we essentially had to write a TED-style speech and then present it on stage where it was filmed for a live audience. So I think that's the video that you saw.
Yeah, I love that. That was really great. You're absolutely a natural at this. Not just your material, but your ability to, sew with such clarity. And actually, if you recall, I listened in on your boundary seminar.
Yes.
I check my people out very carefully.
I know, you're great.
I check my people out. But, I want what's really great for my audience. So, Laura, I don't know if we've got any comments or questions or calls yet. If not, I certainly can get Samantha going.
Yeah, and I actually wrote some notes on what you were talking about before. So.
Oh,
yeah,
perfect.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yay, Samantha, go for it.
Well, I mean, I love the conversation just around, permission. And you said something like we train people how to treat us. And it's funny because I always say this quote by, you probably know, the motivational speaker, Tony Gaskins, or at least you know the quote. he says, you teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. And so I just thought that that was so in tune with what you were saying, because yes, when you tell someone, don't do this, or, oh, it's okay if you ask of my time when I really am overwhelmed, or, people know that they can just bowl all over you because you're not going to say no, right? Or you say you're going to say no, but then when push comes to shove, you cave, right? And so I think it's really powerful that when you set a boundary, that you really stick to it and you make sure you enforce it, so that people learn, okay, when she says no, it means no, or when he says no, it means no, right?
Ah, yes. And that is so big, Samantha. I think that is just such a problem in that I see, and I used to have the same problem until I figured it out, that if I didn't stick to no, and we see this very clearly with children. I think that's when I first learned it, when I had a daughter. Well, I have a daughter. When my daughter was younger, and she would ask me something, and because I maybe didn't take enough self-care, sometimes no would come out of my mouth before I would think through.
Mm-hmm.
And then later I would think it through and go, gee, maybe I shouldn't have said no to that. But I had to sort of stick to my guns even when I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But what that also did is it made me pay more attention before I opened my big fat trap.
Absolutely. And then, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, but then on the flip side, I'm sure we've all seen the mom with her children, and she, the kid's acting up, and she says, when I count to 3, we're going to leave the store, and, you're not going to get that toy, and the kid gets, 7,503 chances, right? So the kid knows that he can keep acting up because no doesn't really mean no, and 3 doesn't really mean we're going to leave the store, right? So yeah, it's a good kind of reminder when you notice that you're getting walked all over, right? Is, are you allowing that kid to walk all over you, right?
But as adults, I don't think people realize, and that's why I love that quote. You might have to put that in our Facebook group maybe tomorrow, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I love that quote because I think as adults, we're so often just off and running, we're on automatic. So I don't think we realize how often we are training people how to treat us, and we're not really aware with, and that you, if you don't mind me segueing here, what you are really excellent at is teaching people, how to set boundaries, which is sort of, in the same vein, not just setting no, but, how do you do that? We're talking about saying no, but a lot of people how do I do that? How do I say no to my family? How do I set a boundary? What does a boundary even look like? So can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Boundaries are tough. And I think, when we were talking about family, family is a whole, different ball game. And so, when I was going through a program that I recently launched around setting boundaries, is I really start off by saying, start small, right? I mean, if you find that your family really, you struggle with setting boundaries, they may not be the people that you want to start practicing and flexing this new muscle with, right? Get to a place where you're more comfortable, people that you can say no to and it's not as contentious. And so I find the best way really to learn that you need to set a boundary is noticing when you feel angry, frustrated, resentful, overwhelmed. That's a really good sign if you're feeling kind of any of those emotions, that you either let someone completely cross your boundary or you're about to, right? And so I think, like most things, awareness is always the first step, right?
Absolutely. And that is so true about our feelings are definitely the gateway into something's not right.
Exactly. Yeah, and so I find, because a lot of people, you were talking about being the nice girl or, being a people pleaser, and I was the exact same. And I would notice myself, a friend asked me to help her move, and I was, I'd say, okay, sure, I'll help you, but I was very overwhelmed with whatever else I was doing. And then I would go help my friend, and the whole time I'd be resentful, right? And so
right.
from her perspective, she doesn't understand because I said yes, but I'm like, I had other things to do, and this is not conducive to me getting other things done, right? And so that is a clear boundary that maybe saying yes wasn't the best option, or maybe I could have put conditions around the yes. Yes, I'll come for 2 hours as opposed to I'll be there all day, right?
Mhm. Now, did you do that like you said, most people, we don't say no. I mean, you must have known you didn't want to help her move, but we don't say no. Somebody had said earlier, they're afraid of confrontation or the person being angry at them, maybe loss of love or friendship. Do you think that's where that's going? Why people are so afraid to say no?
Often people are worried about someone else's reaction. And I really love what you said when you were speaking about that. And it's what I say to people all the time is, first of all, we can't control other people, right? When you're setting a boundary, you're telling someone what you will do if the behavior or if they cross your boundary, right? It's not about them. You can't control other people. Boundaries are not about manipulating other people, right? So if you set a boundary, like for example, we're coming up to the holidays, right? And if you say, you know what, I'm not going to go to my in-laws this Christmas because I just have too much going on and there's a lot of travel. If they get upset, that's on them, right? That's not on you, right? And while you may feel guilty, you also won't be resentful and frustrated and stressed out if you were to go and cross your own boundary, right? And so it comes down to really caring for yourself. Is saying yes to someone else caring for you? And you really ask yourself that, right?
Yeah, and and on the same note, because you feel, let's say you go, and because you feel resentful, seriously, like what kind of event is that going to be? Somebody's feeling resentful, it's going to show up, even no matter how hard you try to be pleasant and wonderful, it shows up. So, in a way, you might ruin kind of the event or the thing. And I think people feel very selfish when they think it's a selfish act, when in fact I think it's a selfless act to take care of ourselves first. I don't want to be resentful. I don't want to be angry. I don't want any of that in my life. And yeah, just like, we both agree, and I think everyone does, that's on them. That's for them to worry about. And I've actually had people say to me, when I went through my setting my boundaries, and with people, and there's always pushback. So, be ready for it. There's always pushback. There's always discomfort. Somebody in my family wouldn't talk to me for 3 months over a boundary I set. And I just decided that was for them to work out. And guess what? They did. We love each other. They worked it out without me. They went away. They figured it out. They wouldn't speak to me. They decided they loved me and wanted to be in my life. And guess what? They adhere to my boundary. And I have better relationships now than I ever had when I was the yes girl.
Absolutely. Because it also, you stand up for yourself, and then it gives other people, like you talked about permission, it gives other people permission to say no. It gives other people, they're like, okay, so she said no to a request I made, and we're still friends, or we still love each other, or what have you. So maybe I don't have to put all this pressure on myself to always say yes, right? And I think that you're really an example for other people. And I think on the flip side, I shared an example, I think, in my group, but I want to share it with your audience as well, is I had a client who was chronically late for every single appointment I had with her. And we got to the 4th appointment and she was 30 minutes late. And, I thought about it. I thought, she sometimes gets depressed. And what if I say something about her being late? Is she going to get upset with me? Is she going to get more depressed? And I agonized over it. And then I just said, no, this is my time. And I really want to be respectful of her time as well. And I'm going to just say to her, look, if you're going to be late, let me know. But if you do come late, then that's going to be time that we won't be able to use, right? I'm not going to give you an extra 30 minutes, what have you. And she sat down, and I really lovingly, asked her, is everything okay? Was there a reason why she was late? And she said, no, I just lost track of time. And so I told her, okay, that's fine. We're only going to have a 30-minute session. But just for future reference, please let me know if you're going to be late, because I want to show up fully for you and I expect the same. And you know what she said to me? She said, thank you so much for calling me out on being late. I'm chronically late all the time, and it's something that really bothers me. And I really appreciate you holding me accountable. And guess what? The next 5 sessions, she was on time.
Wow. See, so, and that's what I mean about it. It's really a selfless act, because you're right. We're a role model for other people. Mm-hmm. I think when people set boundaries and stick to them, other people look at them and go, wow, I want to be like that.
Right. Because they're like, this person's confident and know what they want and what they value, right?
Exactly. I just love that. That's a great story. And I think also the fact that, you totally held her accountable because you were charging her. Mm-hmm. And that's a great way to hold someone accountable, right? Because that is, your time is that money.
Absolutely.
So I see, Laura, do we have a caller, or is that my imagination?
No, yep, we do have a caller. We have a caller from New York, Caitlin.
Caitlin from New York. Hi, Caitlin.
Well, hi. Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me to listen to this and to be a part of this. I wanted to specifically address this topic of being able to set boundaries. And a few minutes ago, you had said, well, why would somebody not be able to set boundaries? And I've only in the last, I would say, maybe 4 years, and I'm in my 60s, learned that it was not only okay for me to set a boundary, it was healthy for me. And the reason being is that I was a severely abused child, and I could not say no. If I said no, I was beaten. And I had no idea until somebody pointed it out to me, and this was in the 90s, that I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And I was always afraid of angering people. Even when I drove, I would be afraid that the person behind me was angry, that I wasn't driving fast enough. And in learning, I read a wonderful book, You Can Heal Your Life, by Louise Hay.
She's
and
fabulous.
Yes, you're familiar with her, right?
Oh, yeah. You are too, Samantha, right?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, great book.
Who could not love her? Okay, sorry to interrupt you, Caitlin.
No. It's that she was severely abused, and look at how she turned her life around, and to this day I still do her mantra. It's so important to listen to your feelings, like you were saying. And, being an abused child, you've got this critic in your head at all times. You can't even, put a shoe on without criticizing yourself. Am I tying it correctly? And waiting for that belt to come down. That was my punishment, was a belt. And the mantra is, I love myself, and I approve of myself. It's so powerful for me personally. And so about 2 years ago, I began removing toxic relationships from my life because being abused was something which was familiar to me, and I didn't want to be abused anymore. And there was specifically a family member who would verbally abuse me. And I finally said no. And I had said no so many times, and she would always apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry, you're right, and blah, blah, blah. And I would always say, okay, fine, we can go back to the way we were. But it never changed. And when I finally said no, I had to take it even further. I had to block her from my Facebook. I had to, because she would continue to follow me, and I had to block her from my email. And something, when I began to really stand up for myself and say, no, you're not going to stalk me and continue to verbally abuse me. No means no. Don't want you in my
really
life because I don't trust you anymore. Your word is not good. I've allowed you back in so many times, and every time you betray that trust. So anyway, I can't thank you enough for bringing this conversation in and this topic in. I had no idea tonight when I listened in that you would have such a powerful, profound effect on me. But thank you so much, because with people like you and people like Louise Hay,
yes,
and Esther and Jerry Dick Hicks, that I read their books about positive thinking, and now it's interesting. I can spot an abusive person from a mile away.
A lot of the stuff you're bringing up is such a great topic for a whole nother show.
Right.
Because I think getting rid of toxic people from our lives, I would think Samantha would agree with me. What's going on out there? Laura? Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Then I'll talk to you. Nobody else can hear me. But that is it is a very powerful story, and I thank you so much for sharing. That goes, well beyond typical boundary setting. But it's a great topic for another show that I'm sure I'll have one day about really getting rid of toxic people, not just setting boundaries, but we might have to get rid of the toxins. Do you agree with that, Samantha? Did we lose Samantha? I don't know what's going on the phone here. Laura, can you hear me? Hello?
You still have me.
I have Caitlin. Laura, can you hear me, hon?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hold on a second. Let me see what's going on with Samantha. I think she's
I'll
having a problem.
I'll keep talking to you, Caitlin.
Okay, that's fine.
Little glitches on the show. Gotta love it. We're just mere mortals over here.
Mhm.
No, you brought up a lot of great points. I'm sorry for your story, but one of the things that I've learned is that most people have a story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Most people do, and it's really so lovely and so refreshing to talk to someone.
Okay, Samantha's back.
Okay, I hope she can hear me. I'm just finishing up with Caitlin here. Samantha, but I was going to say it's so refreshing to me to talk to someone who has an uncomfortable, nice way of saying it, history that has found a way to overcome it and is not complaining about it, but is, I'm sure in many ways you help people all the time with your story. So often, people like to complain about their past and they're not in the solution. So I really, I love all you shared. I'm really thrilled you came on the show. I'd like to think all of our shows are powerful, so keep coming back.
I will. Thank you very much. And thank you, Samantha. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Can I hear Samantha?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. What happened to you? I missed you. Where'd you go?
Sorry, all of a sudden I got a little notification that said that my microphone was not syncing, and then I went away.
Could you hear us or nothing? You were in the dark.
No, I could hear you guys.
That's crazy. All right. Well, I'm glad I can hear you. So,
apologies for jumping out like that.
Oh, that's fine. The one thing about live radio that you gotta love, even though it can be problematic, is we're real people, and everybody sees that. There's no editing going on. So I'm not sure if you heard anything in there, Samantha, that you would like to add on to.
Well, so I cut off at one point, but I really just wanted to say that, given everything that she went through, I think it's just so powerful that she's, years later, is able to be in a place that she's really confident with herself, because like you said, I mean, so many people really make a story about themselves and live their life as a victim and never really take ownership of it and allow themselves that opportunity to heal and to forgive themselves and to be human. And so I think that it's just so powerful to hear stories like that. And I really just want to thank you and to send you so much love, because that takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to share that.
It does, and I agree with you. One of the things I love the best is, I'm sure you get this a lot as a coach, and back when I was doing coaching, there are people who are what I would say, in the problem and can't get to the solution. It's very hard to get certain people to the solution. They want to define themselves as a victim. It's very difficult. So I love when I hear a story of such courage to get out of that, abuse of any kind, or, a lot of other things that happen to people. And, I agree with you. I love, success stories, which, and success stories, because I know you're a success story and I'm a success story. I think there's, it feels like it's unfortunate, but that's where the wisdom, the knowledge, the need for growth comes from, doesn't it, Samantha?
Oh, I'm 100%.
The challenge is what brings us here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you just have that courage to really persevere and to seek help and to know that, you deserve better, I think that is really so powerful. So kudos to you, kudos to Kristen, and anyone else who's kind of gone through any kind of suffering and major challenge and gotten to the other side.
Well, there's a lot of people, and I always say, we had a caller that came on, I don't remember what the show was about, but it was very interesting because she was saying something like, you never know, it's your neighbor, it's this person, it's that person, what they've gone through. But I personally think many more people are walking the earth that have gone through or are going through something. I do. It's huge. And of course we don't sit and we don't walk around and talk about it. People don't walk around and talk about it. I mean, Jacqueline Onassis, 2 days before she died of cancer, was in the park. So I appreciate that, though, about people who are in the midst of suffering that aren't blabbing it all over the internet, that they're waiting till they get into the solution. I like that. I don't know about you, Samantha, but, they're looking for you. They come to you. They come to other people that can help them, and then they share their story, which is really beautiful to share the solution.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about that is, like, we all have a story, we all have pain, we all have a past. I think the thing that's nice about it is remembering that, right? Because I think a lot of times when you're going through whatever you're going through, when I was going through my cystic acne, I felt very isolated and alone. And, I felt like people going through other things didn't get me, or I felt guilty because someone else was going through cancer or someone else was being abused, and my, skin problem wasn't as important. But I think the thing about compassion and self-compassion is realizing that common humanity piece, that we all are going through this journey called life, and we're all human and we all experience things, and that should connect us rather than isolate us, right?
Oh, I love that. And I also think that we can never compare ourselves to other people, because whatever we're going through that's making us suffer feels just as big as somebody that we might look at and say, theirs is bigger. It is what it is. It's just the journey. And whatever challenges each of us face at that moment in time is huge. But look what it does. It is what brings growth, and it is what has so many people out there helping others. Your story, and beautiful work you do. I mean, I'm really so impressed with you. With your work is amazing. And if not for your acne and the onset of that, I mean, I know your story, and we don't have, unfortunately, time, but the way that all happened for you, was so horrific for you. But if not for that, you wouldn't be here helping other people, would you?
Absolutely. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
No. And you have beautiful skin now. You're quite the beauty. Any of you that want to get a look at this gorgeous girl, just in fact, we're gonna wrap up in a few minutes. But first, before you tell us how to find you, and I want how to get on your newsletter, and all the amazing things you're doing. What in this regard with self-care, self-love, can you give us any maybe tools or tips or last words, something, a little punch, a little power to take us into the holiday season feeling, we can do this. We can take care of ourselves every day. How do we do that, Samantha? Every day find time.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, there's a few things, right? I think one of the really, really great things I would recommend that you do every single day, because I think that a lot of times people think self-love, self-care, it's time-consuming, it's challenging, but one of the easiest things that all of you can do every single day is when you wake up, just ask yourself one simple question. What do I need to do to take care of myself today? And then make sure that you receive it no matter what, right? That might mean 5 extra minutes in bed. That might mean an extra hot shower or phoning a friend, right? Just getting a little love in your cup, right? It's just asking yourself a small question and then make sure you deliver on it. And I think that goes a really long way. But the other thing, because yes, we are entering holiday season and it definitely is busy, is I want to really implore you guys to give yourself permission to only do enough, right? Choose enough instead of excess, right? Mm-hmm. So, the holiday season comes with pressure and stress and, you feel like you can't honor your needs because you're being pulled in a million directions. And rather than, make 50 cookies for your kids' holiday gathering, make 20, right? Instead of visiting every single family member that you have on your mother's side, visit half, right? It's just do enough. You don't have to go overboard. And I think that goes a long way to taking care of you.
Oh, I love that. I actually am writing that down, and I'm going to post all of that in the coming week. But before, if you've got a few extra minutes for us, Samantha, we have another caller on the line who is a lovely, lovely girl who's called in before. Would you mind sticking with us a few more minutes to see what she has to say?
Yes.
Thanks. All right, bring her on, Laura.
Okay, here's Kayleen.
Hi, Kayleen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Have you been listening? You just jump in? What's your story?
Oh, my God. Yeah. I know it'll be really fast. I'm going to try to be fast. But, wow. What an eye-opening show tonight. The 2 words that are sticking out, well, I guess 3 words, that are sticking out for me right now that Samantha actually said, accountability and self-compassion. Oh, my God. The whole self-compassion thing, it was like when she said that, it was like this light bulb went on in my brain just now. And, oh, my God, I struggle with this so much. Self-compassion, I tend to think in my brain, I actually just wrote this today to my boss for volleyball, since I coach volleyball, and I was doing we were having my review today. And I was like, be kind to my mistakes. But you know what? I am never kind to my own mistakes.
Mm-hmm. That's
how big is that, Samantha, right?
Pardon me?
Say, how big is that? People are so much more compassionate, forgiving to others.
It is, especially with women, I find we are our own worst critics, right? The stuff that we say to ourselves, we wouldn't say to our worst enemy.
Yes, I wrote a poem about that.
Kayleen's a poet. Kayleen, I am going to suggest to you, Samantha, actually any of the women on this call, Samantha has an amazing, amazing Facebook group forum that's private, so you can say whatever you want that actually I belong to, so you'll hear some of my comments. And I think she'll give us, but Kayleen, you would so love this group. It's just all about what you just talked about. Every day, Samantha just posts beautiful things and tips on self-compassion, self-love. It's one of the reasons I love her so much. She just takes so much of herself, and so she's really, just so about helping people find that. So thank you so much, Kayleen, for sharing that with us, and I really do hope that all the women listeners will get into Samantha's women's group.
Yeah, we'd love
to.
Well,
definitely check it out.
Sorry, man, you don't get to. But you can look at her pretty picture.
Maybe one day, gentlemen. Maybe one day.
Well, you might do a whole nother group for them one day, Samantha. Who knows? One thing at a time, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you, Kayleen.
Thank you so much. Thank you both for everything that you've shared this evening with all of us. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Oh, what a doll. Thank you. So, yeah, Samantha, before I say goodbye to you, do tell people how they can, the women can get into your women's Facebook group, which is so amazingly beautiful and powerful, and, how to follow you. How do we get on your newsletter? I get your newsletter, so I know there is one.
You're amazing.
Well, like I said, I do my homework, and plus I learn a lot from you, so it worked out well for me.
The feeling is mutual, darling. The private community that I've got on Facebook is called the First Love Yourself Sisterhood. I call it the Fly Sisterhood. It's the flyest women on the internet are in that group. So if you just search that, I'll add you right in. And I can post it, or I can in the group with that quote from Tony Gaskins, if you'd like, just in case.
Yeah, do that. And you know what? I'll share that because I'm not sure all the people on are in the Facebook group. But what I'll do is share that on my Facebook wall and on Twitter. Okay. Your links. So yeah.
Yeah, and I actually have a resource. If I know boundaries it's a topic that we could talk about forever, but I did create a resource for your listeners, and it's part of it. If you want to be part of my email newsletter, you just have to sign up to receive this guide. But I created a guide on 6 secrets to setting rock solid boundaries. And so if you guys want to grab that, it's at www.samanthaushedo.com/boundaries. So that's a really great resource that people are really finding helpful to get you started on setting some. And yeah, and then I'm on Instagram, and you can search me on Twitter at Samantha Ushedo. I try to keep it simple, just my name.
Yeah, me too. Doesn't that make life easy, except our groups?
Right.
Well, I love that you did that. That's very special that you together, because I think boundaries are, probably the biggest, one of there's quite a few, but that's a difficult one. And so I would like if you would post these links in the Facebook group.
Okay.
And then what I'll do is share them in any other place that, I know these people will be, because some of the people on the call are not in the group and whatever. So I'll take that and share that where it's necessary. But I think that's a beautiful thing, Samantha. We've got a guy in the group who's chatting, and he's saying it's not fair.
Oh. Every time I do a Periscope, the men are like, "What about us?" I'm sorry.
I know. They get left out of this one, but I guess I'll have to bring on somebody who does stuff for guys. But,
find that guy.
Well, your boundary resource and your newsletter. I mean, even though I know you've chosen to start with a sisterhood and helping women, and I so understand that, because it's unfortunate, but in our society, the way women are brought up, we kind of feel less than. We don't feel as worthy. So that's a good place to start,
Absolutely. And I mean, if you do want to jump on my email list, you can really get a lot from the message behind the words. And obviously they will have a female slant. They will have my perspective. But I mean, I think that the message and the perspective really, it holds true that it's something for everyone. But unfortunately, the fly sisterhood is for the ladies.
Yeah, no, guys. Well, I honestly would never have brought you on if I did not feel that everything that you have to say is absolutely across the board valuable and for everybody. So I could talk to you forever, Samantha. I guess we have to say goodbye. So I really want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, your knowledge, your insights on self-love and self-care and boundary setting and all of that are so, so amazing. And I think you really helped me to make this a very powerful show, and I can't thank you enough for that.
Well, thank you so much, Alice. It was truly an honor. You have created such an amazing platform. I'm sure that your audience is totally loving you, and I really just appreciate all the support that you've given me because it means so much. And one day we're going to meet in person.
Oh, yes, we are. I would like to come to your fabulous gathering this weekend, but you're up in Toronto.
Yeah.
The nerve of you.
Hey.
I know, I saw that. I'm like, I'm so jealous. I can't come. But we're totally going to meet Samantha and post those links. And, thank you, really. And you have a wonderful, wonderful night. You're a sweet, sweet, sweet lady. I love you.
Thank you, darling. Love you, too. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was great. Before I see if we have any last comments, I can't help it. I'm sorry, but Eli, I just want to say, good boy. I want to know when you've got your mask. I'm so bad. I can't help myself. Little mommy Alice comes out every now and then. So, yay. And I think your partner would be very happy if you're not snoring so much. I can hear you from here. And I only know this because I wake myself up. Oh, I don't have to tell everybody everything about me. So, I think that's my dog, actually, that wakes me up. He snores so loud. Little Jack. Little body, big snores. So, is there any comments? Any last comments we could share? I don't mind if we go a few minutes over. I just was loving Samantha so much I didn't let anybody in there and take her from me. So is there anything else that we want to share from the chat room real quick, Laura? Or
well, Eli mentioned everyone's on their own journey. Some show it more than others. I like that. He's got, Eli could write a book of quotes, right? Doesn't he always say something? I go, I want to see that in the group. That's absolutely true. Everybody is on their own journey, and everybody's journey is very valid. Everybody's feelings are valid. Everybody's journey is valid. That's not to say that we might not want to be part of that journey, but that is absolutely true. So if Ande was here, she's got a little crush on the beautiful Brit musician. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that in replay. Is that an edit?
What?
Is that an edit?
Yeah, we might have to edit that. Or should we? Yeah, maybe we'll edit that. My Laura, she's my editor. All right, well, with that, we'll say our good nights. I want to really thank all of you listening in and those of you who participated. I just love you all so, so much. I really enjoy having you part of my life and my show, our show. And a big thank you to you, Laura, for being by my side tonight. I love having you with me.
It's always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Sudie. I really, really enjoy having you producing. I think we might have to keep you. Goodbye, Ande. Oh, we'll have to edit that too now. Yeah, Ande will get it. Andy's got a good sense of humor. So, anyway, I look forward to seeing you all again next week. And until then, do remember to take care of yourselves. Loving yourself let me start over again. Loving yourself first is as important as breathing.
Thank you for tuning in to another lively conversation on the Ask Alice Show. Alice loves to connect with her listeners, so please join the Ask Alice Show Facebook group, where you can keep the conversation going and post questions for future shows. And be sure to stay tuned in to the show by clicking the follow button right here on Blog Talk Radio, and by subscribing to the Ask Alice Show YouTube channel. If you have a high-quality product or service you'd like to advertise with the Ask Alice Show audience, please email Alice's assistant, Rachel, at info@AskAliceShow.com. Until next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, keep asking those questions.